Right. What a way for India's first ODI of 2024 to kickstart itself under this Gambhir era. So close to keeping his 100% record. It was going to be because it was a tied match. Yes, a tied ODI match, the 44th instance in history, which is that happened. And it's happened before between India and Sri Lanka, by the way. 2012, and Roko was part of that when that unfolded on Valentine's Day in Adelaide. I remember that vividly. Much more on that later. My name's Avanish. I have Nikhil Popar and our impacts up in this first ODI, which is Jeet filling in for Som. He's got the cap, the backwards. I've got the cap frontwards. Nick's no cap. So look, we can speak about all the talking points in the next 20 minutes or so. I know there's lots of you guys in the comments waiting around. So jump in straight away and tell us how exciting that was, how it was a great advertisement for the game, and just generally, guys, Sri Lanka and ODI, I was telling y'all in the group that it's just vibes, grows by the boundary, Russell Arnold commentary, dodgy umpiring. We've seen it all. And for a tied match, it's cherry on the cake. So, Jeet, I'll start with you with your super sub brain on. How did you view the game and your first thoughts, my friend?
First thoughts, well, I'm completely perplexed by what has been unfolding in this entire series or the entire tour. I mean, that everything started from that third T20 where we saw the randomest of things happening. Gautam Gambhir, potentially having his inner fantasies and trying out different bowlers, Surya Kumar. And that fantasy continued even today. Like, of course, I mean, that 1 over from Shubman Gill, I have no idea why he was given that 1 over that went for 14. And in hindsight, man, those 14 runs were huge. So quite weird, dude. But I think India should have won this. I mean, at no stage, were they looking at a situation where they could have lost. Potentially, after they were 4 down or 5 down, it was still looking well set because you had KL Rahul, whose natural game is well suited to this kind of a situation where he can just take his time. He can, kind of anchor it, ensure that the required runs come down significantly and get the job done. So I was feeling fairly secure even at that particular time. But man, what happened at the very back end when, a couple of wickets were remaining with Shivam Dubey and Kuldeep Yadav in, man, I think from there on, it was not looking so good. So at the end of the day, I would say I'd be quite disappointed with how India went about things here.
Yeah, especially the start they got. We'll talk about it chronologically, of course, because we gave our predictions. Nix and Som said 180. I said 250, and I won it because 215 was touch and go in terms of the halfway stage, but they got 230 in the end. We'll also take everyone's comments right now. So Gaming Singh had his say. There's also Neela Kandan saying this. And Nix, I want to just quickly clarify this for all the people who are watching this, because so common these days to see a super over when a match tied. Can you explain it for us why there's no super over this series?
Because it's a 50-over game. And we are not going to go by any boundary counts. If it's a tie, it stays a tie. Better. No team deserve to win. Good. Keep it as a tie.
And it's a tie because also I think there was no super over proposed in these kind of bilaterals generally, right?
Yeah,
that's the rule.
Yes.
So that's just clarifying it for viewers out there. So next, what did you make of it? And what was the turning point? Because I thought it was a big acid test, even in the end, for Shivam Dubey to get us across the line. And I was like, you know what? He's done his job. And then just when I say that, he's fucking got trapped like a bunny.
I think it was a game of rust, I feel, from Indian batters. They all got starts. Everybody you felt got themselves in, but did not quite go on and make that big score to see the team through. And again, most of those wickets to me felt very out of the blue. Like Gill went out of the blue. Rohit was batting well, suddenly got out. Virat went the same way. You had Sundar promotion is something that I didn't quite like. I thought they should have sent Shivam there and kept Sundar for the back end. Better way to just close the game out. And even for Shivam to get that experiment done. But I mean, it's okay. Even had they won it, I would have still said the same thing. So I felt every time India felt they could run away with it, Sri Lanka just found a way, just somehow found a way. Whether it is at the back end also when Aksar was going so well and Shiva, and you felt, okay, now these two can close it out. Aksar gets out. And then the last pair, I could not quite get what they were thinking. Shivam giving strike to Siraj. And every time Siraj had that front foot planted so wide of, and great stuff that he got out of the line. But I had zero conviction of him not getting trapped because it was a tough day. And this was a proper long live ODI cricket kind of template. that you had to get yourself in, you had to close the game out. I think Shivam did that very well, thankfully, because had India lost this one, it would have been even more embarrassing. So I think Shivam played his cards fairly okay. Yes, you wouldn't want him to expose the tail, but I still can't figure out why did Arshdeep just sit down for a single. I mean, just give yourself one ball. First ball, he's like this for one run needed. Bhai साहब थोड़ा रुक जाओ सबर करो but ठीक है. I mean, what else we here for?
Yeah, there I think it's just the hero shot which was already playing in his head before he
Yeah.
attempted it. So I think clear tailender vibes, Curtly Ambrose vibes, dare I say. Lots of people have already had their comments, and few of them are not happy with Rohit Sharma. Sanjay Papigiri saying, "What is Rohit smoking these days, man? It's a shame we're getting to witness this so late. Better late than never." But look, I feel there's some positives from India and, of course, some negatives. I mean, from Sri Lanka's perspective, Wellalage was absolutely brilliant with bat and ball, potential man of the match as well. Casing, hello to you, Hero Bangaya. I mean, I don't know if you're saying that about Sri Lankan spinners or, of course, Arshdeep in a sarcastic way. Hello, Nikhil sir, saying Kushal Jain. All of you guys, lovely to see you all. And Arshdeep Lara saying Vikas Shukla as well. Damodar Banla, who's the new subscriber of late. Hello, panel members. Am I the only one who feels KL is only to play test innings in both T20 and ODI? Even actually decided to play 33-57, this kind of innings, absolute tragedy. I beg to differ with you. I think KL actually played the situation. I don't know, it was a brain fade, which of course led to his dismissal, and we'll talk about it. But let me just get some stats out of the way, which we wanted to show you generally, because India did lose the toss. And it was always going to be Siraj versus Sri Lanka. And what he's done early on in ODIs is striking early. And it's evident in these numbers right now. 24 times that he's done so since 2023 in the 50-over format. Now, Rohit Sharma, again, he was brilliant. 3 sixes tonight. And I think he's now 2 behind Gale in the all-time ODI list. He's on top of the pops in terms of most sixes as international captain. So that's brilliant as well. And most runs as an opener, well, he's there as well because he's just matter of runs away from overtaking Sachin Tendulkar. So lots more great stats like this. And a last one, just to tease you out, because Dubey was in the thick of things at the end of the game. Look at that in terms of a long, long wait. Literally, he had to wait 1,691 days for his second one international after receiving his ODI cap. Uli Jayant Yadav betters that, right? So amazing numbers, as you can see. And if you guys are joining us for the first time, please subscribe and like. Guys, so first of all, do you think India should have cleaned up the tail? Because I never thought Sri Lanka would have got to whatever they got to when they were 101 for 5, max 190 or 200 at best, but that 230 really cost them in the end. Jeet?
Yeah, I think it did eventually have a huge, huge impact. But I think after the power play, the spinners did a phenomenal job at controlling the run rate and even getting those wickets. But probably those last 10 overs is what, of course, we would look back at and say that it didn't really work out. I mean, for them to end with 230 was a lot. But if you have followed Sri Lankan cricket, you would have heard this one name time and again. That is Dunith Wellalage. There were a lot of calls of, having him included in the national setup in all the formats of the game because that guy is a genuine class all-rounder. So whilst all the key batters were dismissed, there was this one man that was standing, and it was him that ended up having a huge impact and taking them to that 230 mark. So I think India would feel, hard done by or kind of let down by, if that is the correct term, by the death bowling. It was honestly not so convincing. One wicket there could have changed things a lot. Velalage's wicket could have literally, brought that 230 down to maybe even 215 or 210. And that could have had the game sealed
Yeah.
for India. But I think last 10 overs was not really convincing from the Indian perspective.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much to talk about from an Indian bowling regard because I generally felt Washington Sundar and Akshay Patel and Kuldeep Yadav were unplayable, and props to them. Gagan, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. After watching T20 side, he says, one-day team looks so boring. Indian fans are quick to wish out and dish out daggers. What is with Wellalage against India? Keeps performing consistently against them. I remember he got a 40-odd against India as well, so up the Wellalage fans as well. Road Peak post 30 is something we will never see. Changing your entire gameplay so late in your career as captain is just unbelievable. I mean, they were showing some stats about how he goes about his business in the power play as a captain in ODIs, and it's even more insane. One more comment about Rohit. the absolute contrast is that how Rohit is playing versus the remaining batsmen are playing absolute fearless batting. We're missing this kind of batting in the team. Sehwag was a nightmare for Lankans. And it's vibes, Sehwag vibes. And I echo those thoughts of everyone who's saying that, because Rohit batted in a different strip compared to all the other 21 players who even got a bat in this one. We'll talk about Rohit just in 4 or 5 minutes from now, but I just want to get that whole first innings out of the way with Knicks, especially with Shivam Dube, 4 overs on the trot, first change, 78 miles an hour. All right, he's pretty much in that ilk of a Colin de Grando, maybe an Angelo Matthews. He got the wicket as well of Kusal Mendes. So do you think he could have bowled more in the innings, or do you think those 4 overs, he came in and he did his job?
Yeah, I think he came in and did his job. Again, as I mentioned in our chats as well, that it was better for India to try him as a premier option and not as a go-to guy when they are already 5-6 down, because there you don't gain much out of it. So he actually bowled to two guys who were, again, one of those key batters in Kusal and Nisanga, and I think he did his job fairly well. Did not quite lose his line much. Of course, you'd expect one or two down the leg side, but that's where I felt I expect more from Siraj. I expect more from Harshdeep, because I think Siraj started really very, very well in terms of beat the bat. But you want people to come back in the second and third spell to create those chances. I don't think India created as much chances with pace. And once Velalage got set, you felt there was a time till they were 4, 5, even 6 down, that okay, they have their luck. And even Nisanga, to be honest, was not out. There was Joe Wilson doing Joe Wilson things. Janet Liange, for some reason, wanted to have a walk in the middle of a ground when he had not even hit that. So India got away there. But Shivam, had he bowled more, maybe this total would have been more. I felt India just need to be walking their thread very carefully in terms of wanting to give people game time, but at the same time closing the game out enough. I think that is something that the bowling and the batting both reflects to me in the long way, that even Virat, that's not a dismissal I expect of it. KL Rahul, Akshar Patel, all three dismissals. Shreyas here, again, you can understand the ball came in decent way and then he got up. But these three guys, you expect them to just not give you any chance, close the game out by their own end. And that is what I expected something from Kuldeep. I think Kuldeep bowled really well, probably unlucky. But Sundar, Akshar, you feel that bhai, you need to start getting into a stage where if Bumrah is not playing, you have to find a way to create more chances, to create more errors. So let's see, because we discussed 225 being an average score. And that is exactly how it panned out. You had 230, it was enough.
Yeah, and that's exactly how everything unraveled in Colombo. If you guys are just tuning in, of course, do like this video and get your comments in, because how often have we seen a tie in ODI cricket? And it was the first game that India are playing in this format in 2024. Right, quick look at the match summary, because like I just mentioned, that 4-letter word tied, it's ridiculous. Absolute harakiri in the end by the Indian batters. When they could have got over the line, everyone's still talking about the brain fade from Arshdeep, maybe even that Dube one where he could have just, I don't know, had a whiff, but who knows? This is how it all happened. Again, Wellalage stands out, Rohit Sharma stands out, and a few other key performers. Patham Nissanka, again, brilliant in terms of just accumulating runs, another 50 for him. And Hasaranga as well, 24, that was a critical knock, and we'll get to that. And I just want to ask Jeet, before we talk about the Indian batting, in particular Rohit, Virat, and of course the likes of KL and Shreyas, about Sri Lanka 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I know Lineage think he got 100 against Bangladesh in a similar position. He, of course, saw Wellalage at the other end deliver. Akhil Dhananjaya played a couple of funky shots, and they all mustered about 125, 130 runs to the end. So that's a real wake-up call, even though there's no Bumrah in the Indian arsenal today. What could have India done better?
I think, look, at the end of the day, if your bowlers can contribute with the bat, nothing better than that. We always talk about batting depth, which basically reflects upon bowlers who could bat or all-rounders who could bat as well. For India, that is a grey area, because neither can Siraj do that, nor can Arshdeep. So that is a huge issue. Whereas, like you mentioned, as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, someone like Akila Dhananjaya still has got the skill sets to find the boundaries or at least hang in there. So they have got that fairly well sorted as compared to India. So India maybe could look to, maybe even include somebody like Harshit Rana, who's not so bad at the bat. He could chip in as well. Right now, it's not going to work out. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, you can't expect Siraj to get the job done, or even Arshdeep. And even Arshdeep, for that matter, I mean, playing that rash shot. I remember him going to county cricket, I think, a couple of years ago. And that is when he honed his skills to become proper hitter. Before that, he was not even a good batter. He went to county cricket and he was smashing it, walking in number 10, number 11, and in the entire squad of, say, 16 to 17 players who played in the county championship, he was the only batter to have a strike rate of over 100, with the next best being like very, like 50, 60 less. So that is how he was doing. So when he walked in, I was very clear cut that, this guy doesn't have a defensive game. He's not going to prod forward and, you know, present a solid forward defense. He's going to go after it because that is what he's worked upon over the last couple of years, and that's exactly what he did. So I think that is where we've got a bit of an issue. Siraj also is pretty much in that same line. If you remember that incident with Ashwin, where Ashwin had asked him to take it calmly, just defend the ball, that guy just whacked it into the stand. So it's something that's not them in it's not there in them so naturally, so they are not going to defend or going to hang in there. So India have that issues with the bowlers that we've got. So if we can work upon their batting skills or look to include some other bowlers who could chip in with the bat, then I think it's going to probably create a bit of a difference in situations like this one.
Yeah, who knows if it was Harshit Rana, and apparently he's batting his balls off in the net. So if he can really turn out to be, one of those tail enders who can tonk it a bit, it'll be brilliant. Kushal Shah, welcome to the chat. I know you're having your thoughts said. We already reflected them on our show right now. Naman Sutar, if you're new to the show, please like and subscribe. You go on and say this pitch was very good until spinners came on. Rohit was in 33-50. After that, he played 10, 15 balls for 4 runs. So after spinners, yeah, and absolutely, Rohit got the benefit of the power play. He got, of course, a close call in terms of the DRS, which was missing. And you should have seen the bowler celebration at the time. I think he was so convinced. Eventually, Rohit got the nod and the benefit there. Then, of course, I think he was put down as well, a sharp chance to slip. So even though he got, 58 of 43, let's talk about Rohit Sharma and his approach, because his fearless intent and approach and all those adjectives, we've been saying that since game 1 of the World Cup or even before that. And he is our top performer, even though there is Wellalage to talk about in just a bit, and he's the official player of the match, is what we can confirm. But Rohit right now, 47 balls for his 58, and he was giving it everything. In terms of that first 6 that he just came down and belted Fernando, I think cross leg side for 6 was mad to see, right? So, guys, Rohit Sharma, where are you on him? Because he's also given a couple of key quotes from the post-match presentation saying that we should have got there, and then they couldn't really back up the momentum the openers got. So is he kind of expecting everyone to play the way he has, or do you think he, of course, chanced his lives today and, of course, has the benefit of the power play? Nikhil, I'll start with you.
I mean, see, he's led the way in terms of that is his role. I don't think he would have cared had it been Arshdeep or Siraj or even anybody else just closing the game out. Just to the point that Jeet mentioned, I still think you need to still have enough skills to realize to be able to get out of the over with 2 balls to go. I'm not saying you go out there and present a full face of the bat, but no matter who you are, and Arshdeep is not someone who's not going to be part of a setup. He's going to be part of a setup. But the point is, you have to, again, maybe expectations, but dude, it's a tie. It's already tied. You cannot lose this one. So I felt that's where the communication can also happen with the group, that this is what the plan can be. And it is something I expect Rohit, Gambhir and everybody to come together, that I don't think India planned this chase as convincingly as they have in the past, because you don't see so many such kind of soft dismissals, so to speak, because they are guys who've played this format for a living, and they'll all come good in the coming times. Maybe this was just rushed, but some of those calls, some of those discussions in terms of who are they hitting, they are all going across the line and then getting out. KL got out the same way. Virat wanted to play one off the back foot across the line. So these are all not the mistakes that you see them do very often. So maybe it's just first game, first ODI of the season, first ODI of the entire year. So you will get time, and I think Sri Lanka caught them off guard in terms of probably a bit lax, that okay, now we can close this out, because KL again, he was looking sad. There was it that shot came out of nowhere to me, that why would you suddenly want to slog one over the onside? So I don't think Rohit has worries in terms of execution, in terms of role clarity. Yeah, shot selection and execution can be better. Rohit is doing his job as well as he could since the last World Cup. I don't think there is any doubt there. In fact, it's his what do you call the stats that are helping you not feel the pressure. Because had this been run a ball, you would have seen more rash shots earlier in the game. So I think he's making it easier, but some days maybe even he will. I want to see if he reflects that maybe I need to go on and make an 80-90 also. Maybe I can also not probably get out at 57 or 48. If I get out on 88 of 68, the game might be done by then. So very tricky slope for everybody involved, but I trust them to find a way.
Okay, I mean, we'll talk about Rohit Sharma a little bit more, but don't go anywhere, Kushal. Don't worry about it. We'll keep all our chats relating to what you guys want to speak about. Truly a sad story, much potential. He did so well throughout the World Cup, except the final, of course. People tend to forget that. He doesn't help his own case sometimes. And many people would be still not happy with that 58 in terms of you were well set. You should have seen your team through instead of kind of, playing a rash shot across the line. By the way, some breaking news across sport, which is Lakshya Sen in the semis. Which is great. And he's won the quarters. We can happily confirm as Indian badminton fans. So well done to Lakshan. Hopefully, he can pocket a goal. Kushal was saying, not talking about Rohit, he was talking about Rahul. Confirm that. Thanks for that. And Alpesh, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're selecting some players only based on stats and averages, but impact is not there when we're required, especially in difficult conditions. And we can now name across conditions, across format that Rohit has played incredible intent-worthy knocks, which is, of course, paved a path for inevitably and win for India. You talk about that massive Bunsen in Chennai. He got about 120 there, where other batters couldn't really pick it up. Today, of course, is another one in the right direction. Ajit, 2 pence from you on Rohit, and then we'll just talk about the other Indian batters. I mean, essentially, do you see him play till 2027, the larger picture? Because even in the press conference prior to the game, he was just chuckling about, I'm still ready for T20 internationals if you need me. It's almost like habitual to put on my pads and walk out for that. So he himself thinks there's a lot of cricket in him. He's gone on to say that. Gambhir thinks that there's a lot of cricket in him. So do you think there's another 2-3 years left in this format, which he truly loves?
He might have, potential year or two, but I'm not too sure if, he's going to last till 2027 in terms of the kind of impact he's had over the last 3 years. It's very difficult to replicate that same stuff at the age of 40. Age curve is a real thing, and it generally, gets most of the players, and it does see a decline coming. And right now, again, I mean, of course, a lot of credit to Rohit Sharma because with the 2022, 2023, and this year's one game so far in the ODI format, in all these 3 years, he's managed to have a strike rate of over 100. And he's been playing ODI since 2007. And these are only 2 out of the 3 years where he's had a strike rate of over 100 in a calendar year. So he's definitely made that change. And it's something that we've seen in the T20s as well, where he's looked to capitalize upon the power play, something that, a lot of people were critical about, his slow approach and all that stuff. Well, he has changed his game. So a lot of credit to him as well for doing that. Problem is, can he sustain that going forward at the age of 37, entering 38, 39, or even 40? Can he have that similar impact? That is where I think a big, big challenge lies. So I think it's probably too far-fetched right now. I think we are looking way too forward because we just had a World Cup, last year that was completed. And looking at 2027 is probably way too early right now. So we've got to take it year by year right now is probably the best way to go about it. But if we can have similar impacts, and I don't really mind him being a part of 2027 World Cup, but I think it's a little bit too early right now.
Yeah, because I think the focus is still for him on the Champions Trophy, which is 7 months away. The WTC, of course, which I think he'll still lead the test side in. Let's talk about that middle order and those right-handers who all got starts, be it Gill or Virat or Shreyas or KL, and no one could really make a big case for themselves, albeit World Cup runners-up and all of that tags. KL is making a case for Pant and hashtag justice for Sanju gang by not finishing matches or being too timid sometimes saying Sachin Upadhyay. Knowing KL might slowly be pushed out of the setup. Interesting thoughts by you this Friday evening. Greg K entering the chat saying Rhodes reflexes will skydive soon, probably around next year. I hope that's not the case. And Nikhil Baiju going on to say, can we really afford to not have Jaiswal in the lineup, an attacking left-hander in the lineup at the top? Maybe not yet in terms of the management and the selector's eyes. When I saw the 11, I was surprised saying Kushal Shah. They didn't just play Pant in place of Sky from the ODI 11 and keep KL as a fielder. KL was always going to keep because, look, he's not done anything wrong as a keeper or in that role as well. I know you guys would have expected him to finish off the game today, but he just got 31. But you look at his numbers in the last 25 games in that position, it's better than anyone else in the world. Compare it to your Maxwells, your Klaasens, or your Daryl Mitchells, whoever bats at 5 for their respective countries. Damodar Banla saying, by the way, but the way KL playing absolute outlandish and saying strike rates won't matter, stupidest things I've ever heard. Like today, you guys can't complain about strike rates, whatever. He's playing the situation. Let's start about KL then, Nix, because you've also been a big advocate of KL, especially in this format. One game, so be it, right? I still don't blame him. I don't think there's that much amount of criticism that he's receiving right now from the chat.
We are just obsessed with KL. No matter what happens, KL is that guy from Wednesday. करे कुछ भी पिटता मैं ही हूँ.
Yeah.
Or if anything happens in the world, he's responsible. See, you can criticize his T20 knocks, T20 mindsets. We are on the same page there. But in ODI cricket, what he's done, it is fine. He's done his job. He's done something very few people can ace. Why can't we just not see that enough? Nobody is wanting you to play at a strike rate of 130, 140 in this format. We have watched too much of T20s and I feel and he got out playing an aggressive shot. Now, had he got out playing a defensive shot, we were like, see, he got out playing a defensive shot. I would rather take him getting out to an aggressive shot. He got out playing an aggressive shot. So, I think we just need to relax. We are probably just too hyped with KL Rahul in terms of there's extreme scrutiny with him. I have no clue why, not in this format. So, he, as you rightly said, he played the situation. He and Aksar played the situation as well as they could. So, and today is also just a game where they promoted Sundar up the order, which meant Shreyas came at a different point, KL came at a different point, and it's okay. You need to give them some time to figure their way out. They are trying something, give them that space. And if you're telling me that KL Rahul with those numbers is not creating an impact, we are watching a different sport. That is all that I can say.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, Alpesh, look, I understand you're coming with some sort of a pessimist lens here, and that's fine. You have your opinions, you're entitled to them. Everyone is. All I'm trying to say about KL's numbers in that position is that he's actually really done his job, not just in terms of average, but even the strike rate. He has the ability to catch up. Right now, today, you look at it, it doesn't reflect so well because ultimately India tied the game. But if India did scrape through by 1 wicket, we would have been like, oh, that KL's 31 was important. So was Shreyas's 23 or whatever he got, right? So I don't think KL...
Just a case. Gill has a strike rate of 45. Kohli's strike rate of 75. Aksar strike rate of 57. Why is this not a concern for everyone?
Yeah.
Everybody just feels like anything happens, let's just grab hold of KL and put him in the front that he is the guy responsible. Dude, it wasn't an easy day. India almost had 150 dot balls. 150 dot balls. Do you realize 150 dot balls is not a small number? And this is a World Cup finalist side. They're not your just randomly assembled people. So it's just one game. Thoda relax kar lo. He'll do his job, or just trust enough in the management to ensure that if he's not doing it, he'll be out of the setup. And that is something he also knows. And so far he's done as good as he can.
Yeah, I mean, even Nikhil Baiju going on to say problem is not KL alone. We can't afford all three of Gill, Kohli and KL. Look, all of them, I know they make ODI a format which is very comfortable for them, but they're also kind of reaping the rewards. We saw it in the World Cup as well. They were all kind of brilliant in their own way. I know you would not say the same thing about Gill. People still point out about how KL didn't really take India past, say, 250, 260 in that day against Australia in Ahmedabad. So you guys can always nitpick and always think about things like that. But look, I'm backing KL tonight, 100%. Damodar, I don't know what you're saying, mate. Just be clear. I'll take your comment. No problem whatsoever. Sachin Upadhyay saying, I feel bad for him. I saw him to be the vice captain in the squad. His inconsistency is what hurts Nikhil by. I mean,
which inconsistency? Where is he inconsistent?
Go look it up, guys. I mean, you have cricket.com as an app. Go check it out. Look at the last run of scores he's had in ODIs. I mean, in this position as well. So do not really slander him for no reason. Well, Damodar, there are tons more stupid things in the world than this KL statement. You should get more often saying gaming things. So
just for KL, I'll say you can hold him hostage for his T20 numbers. I have no problem with that. Go ahead after him. But भाई जितना तुम चेस कर रहे हो, there is no need for you to bat at a strike rate of excess of 100. You're getting the job done. That is all that matters.
Yeah, and look, I mean, even Vikas kind of going up against Nikhil Baiju in the comments saying we're chasing something attritional like 230 today. It's not your 350, 370 where you need slam bang batters like an Abhishek Sharma or a Jaiswal or anyone who would really kind of come in and throw the cat amongst the pigeons. We needed someone who would just milk singles, maneuver the strike, and rotate as much as possible. And all those three, obviously they got good balls, or you want to put it down to shot selection, whatever that happens in sport, right? But all I'm saying is with this format, Jeet, I feel there is life with these right-handers going into the next World Cup also. If the Champions Trophy is a massive failure, let's see how that goes, because who is it in India's group in the Champions Trophy? There's Bangladesh, there's New Zealand, there's India, and there's Pakistan in that group A, and then there's Afghanistan, Australia, South Africa, and Sri Lanka. So even if it's a really poor performance from these 5, 6 batters in the top, then I would be like, South Africa, bouncy pitches, maybe we need 1 or 2 changes. And of course, form and fitness.
Yeah, I think we are jumping the gun way too early, and something very similar that happened in that first after the first T20 against Zimbabwe, where people are very skeptical that, hey, you know what, first game after the T20 World, sorry, after the T20 World Cup final, and is this how India is going to play in the future? Is this how the future looks like? I think we are repeating the same mistake. I mean, most of us, and I don't think that's really fair because most of these guys are coming after a long gap. Say, for example, KL Rahul. Let's be fair to him. He's coming back after a long time, and he's done a phenomenal job. Let's face it. At number 5, number 6, he's been really good. And more often than not, the situation of the game demands the kind of game that you play. And today, the situation demanded him to consolidate and play slowly, and structure the game, build a partnership, and then accelerate. And like Nick said, it's exactly what even I pointed out. Sorry, it's exactly what even I noted. Strike rate of 72 is not bad. There were other batters who were having strike rate a lot lesser than 72 or round about 72. So it's not only KL. I think he's just become a punching bag, sadly. But I think he's done a phenomenal job over the years in that particular spot. So I think after one game, we should not be jumping the gun or reaching a conclusion that this is looking so bleak for India, or these youngsters won't be able to step up, get KL Rahul out of the side, get Rishabh Pant in, and all that stuff. One game is too early to judge. Let's give them a longer road. There is a long, long way to go, and literally it's the first ODI of the year in the 8th month of the year. So we haven't played this format for such a long time. So why do just assume so many things right now? Let's just wait how all these other games also pan out, how the other ODIs in the year pan out, and then judge how the performances have been. Right now, it's way too early.
Shabash.
And I generally feel like now with all the formats being what it is, I think we have the personnel to split them up as wicketkeepers. KL for ODIs, Pant for Tests, and probably just give Samson the T20 in the longer rope over there, is what I believe. Nikhil Baiju defending his side of things, saying Vikas and the rest of the guys know this. I think we need one more batter with a Ted like Rohit. Just like Australia have head at the top and Maxwell at 6, I certainly feel that Rohit, these three are a little too similar. And then I think Shravan has gone on to say Shreyas is that player, Nikhil Baiju. And I agree with Shravan there because he, of course, shows great intent against spin, and we saw that even today a little bit. Maybe it's a redundant question, but is Pant fully fit for Tests? If so, is he a starter for BGT any day, man? He's got credit in the bank, so he starts a Test. And look, there's miles in the leg after that IPL, after the World Cup, and now, of course, with the 3 T20 internationals as well. We slander India that they do well in bilaterals, and the moment they lose one game in a random bilateral series, all the daggers are out, typical Indian fan behavior. And that'll never stop because there's so many passionate fans. So they always want to see India winning. It wasn't a beef for Gambhir today. They haven't lost the game, but you expected India to chase that after, even though they were kind of poised to chase way lesser. There are a few more things I want to talk about before we just wrap up. One is, of course, Sri Lanka's star performer, which is Wellalage, and he was brilliant, not just with the bat in hand, first getting his maiden 50 in the format, went on to, of course, get 2 vital sixes in the end, one a hook shot of Siraj and then one pump down the ground as well of Arshdeep. But he was, of course, effective with a ball in hand, getting the openers out well. What a sign for Sri Lanka this. I know they have a couple of new names in terms of Mohammad Shiraz. We'll talk about him if you guys want to know about that fast bowler. They've done a piece on him in terms of the cricket.com website. They also have another bowler called Ishan Malinga. We might see him this ODI series, but Dunith Wellalage is not like a new name for Indian fans. He's caused us pain before, but Nick's, is he one of those next gen cricketers for Sri Lanka? Because he can do pretty much everything.
100%. And you look at the way he's batted today as well. Though forget the first five balls. I think the first five balls he was just very very nervous. The first ball he played, he had a review against him, and he thankfully some batter left that mercy on him. Okay, let's leave some reviews for later batters, because you saw later what he can do, how compact he is in terms of once he's not nervous, you see the range that he has, which is great at drives, good at sweeps, the hook that he hit towards the back end. It just tells you there is so much to work with, and most importantly, he has a very good head, because you can't continue to rescue teams if you don't have that kind of temperament. So very very happy for Villalage. Again, he was the guy I had in all my teams because I trusted him to do something for sure, no matter how the game pans out. And he's very accurate as well. So of course he'll get better with time in terms of adding more variations, beating more people with the flight and all of that. But he's as good and as neat as they come in terms of giving somebody like a one into that pressure. Because see, today also Asalanka bowled well. He ended up with 3 wickets, but it was Villalage after the burst from the Pacers that brought back control, and it was needed. Because had they not got that control back, India were 40 out after 4 overs. Had they raced away to 100, things would have been a lot more different for the following batters. So I think Villalage put in a very good performance with both bat and ball, and just hopefully they'll just take care of him, because at times even in LPL he hasn't got enough game time and right positions and right bowling usage. This Sri Lankan side with those injuries, they need somebody like him to come good. And if the deck remains good like this, I'm in for more Dunith Wellalage shows. And yeah, of course, why not? Good for the game.
Yeah, brilliant silver lining for Sri Lanka if it is in terms of this match being tied, because Asalanka also has given a pertinent quote from his post-match presentation saying that they believe that they could defend this 230 after they themselves got a hit on this pitch. Before we wrap up, I just want to take you guys back in time, because like I said, this is the 44th tie in ODI cricket, the second between Sri Lanka and India. And the first one happened in 2012. Now, I told you guys at the top of the show, I remember it vividly. 14th of Feb 2012, it was Sri Lanka, India. I know Vinay Kumar did really well. Gambhir got a 91, and it was 236 playing 236. Do you guys have any recollection of that game? Because that was a similar series that Virat got 133 in Hobart.
I honestly don't. I have faint memories of that particular try series because I mean there was a lot that was happening, and then Australia Sri Lanka meeting in the final because of how Australia lost. That I'm really still pissed about. But that particular match, I'm still not so sure. I do remember that 236 playing 236, but I don't remember the specific details of it.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, I'll tell you them in just a bit, because there was everyone who bowled. Rohit Sharma bowled in that game, 2 overs, none for 10. And I think Vinay Kumar picking up 3 for 46. Ash was there, Jadeja was there, Irfan and Umesh were the other pacers. And there was, of course, Sachin playing that game, who opened the batting with Gambhir. Virat out for 15, Rohit out for 15. And there was Raina, Dhoni as well. Dhoni not out 58 of 69, and he's not got his team over the line. Unbelievable.
Something with Indian keepers and versus Sri Lanka. Okay, koi nahi.
Wait, so where did Rohit bat?
Rohit batted 2 down. So
Two
there was
down.
Gambhir, Tendulkar,
Wow.
Kohli, Rohit, Raina, Dhoni, Jadeja, Ashwin, Irfan, Vinay, Umesh.
Oh
Bro,
my
everyone
God! Wow! Wow!
is mad. That is honestly mad. So we were just kind of recapping the first tied 50-over game between India and Sri Lanka, and today being the second one. So that was just a little throwback trivia for you that we're introducing in every preview and review show on cricket.com. Lots of questions still to, of course, answer, but I'll try to wrap it up as soon as possible because we've already gone over time. Honestly, there's nothing to criticize about this game. We all love ourselves, some city drama and otherwise bowling bilateral. And Damodar saying, those who think I'm blaming one player, I'm a huge fan of KL. And I'm the happiest man when he joined Punjab in IPL. He was a beast around that time. He's a joint holder of the fastest half century in IPL. I mean, by your comments early on, I thought you were kind of slandering him, but some of them were, some of them weren't. But look, it is what it is. Tied game, Friday evening, a very, very memorable one for the fans out there, because talk about tied games in all of its glory. 38 years, 149 games in the Premadas and Colombo. First tied game there as well. So another stat out of the bag. So good night to all you guys. Thanks for making this such a memorable day in terms of our review and preview. Go check out the previous one if you wanted to hear Somesh's thoughts. But Jeet and Nick's props to you as well on a Friday evening. You guys can catch yourselves whenever on the Sunday show. I think I'll be doing a break that day, but we'll be back throughout the next week with Monday Night Live and everything else. Stay tuned to cricket.com. You certainly don't want to miss anything else from our side. We'll see you shortly. By the way, sorry, I want to just discuss Kohli and Gambhir. What do you think they were laughing about so much, even in tense situations? Do you think that was for the TRP?
For the
Maybe
cameras.
they were discussing. Maybe they were
Cameras.
discussing. तेरे को पता है ये लोग क्या क्या शो चलाते हैं अपने नाम पे तेरे को पता है Who knows?
Man, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that room, but it is what it is. We can't talk too much about Virat because we're 24 and he got a decent one from his ex-RCB teammate in Hasaranga. That's all we have. More stuff on cricket.com, including some great features. Go check them out immediately after the show. And like this video, please. It helps with the algorithm. We'll see you soon. Happy weekend. I'm done.
Yes.